The secret test of the moon. Did we do what we needed to do to just be comfortable with who we are, where we are, what we are? The secret test of the moon. Did we receive or did we follow up on some type of secret alignment to be fulfilled in the moment? Because if we're out of different types of alignment, a disalignment, then there's going to be an energy discomfort. And it's not to say that you could always have a good day, but what if you kind of could, you know? But it's not that, it's not about having a good day or a bad day. It's about recognizing and embracing, you know, the growth of reality, the hard growth. Because obviously the challenge itself, it makes who you are and how you're changing and how you respond to change. So we're responding to change with the moon and other things, but the moon, the surface level mechanism of the moon, it's a nearby facilitator to kind of, harness, the energies of the heart being, and that heart energy being, it's being focused, and it's instrument mechanator of the moon. It's drawing upon energy, and it's receiving energy, and it's in its own orbit to travel its own procession of the constellations. And as it's in the procession of its own constellations, then that's what we're ultimately like we're reacting to. We could know what to react to, so we could align our comfort energy, the moon being our comfort energy. And unconsciously, we could just do our own like standard healthy human work and be comfortable without following the moon transits, because naturally we kind of know what to do. We know what's right, but we could know more so when the moon is in like, cusp, cap, and sag, right? So within the cusping of cap and sag, that's some type of it's a particular type of lava element, obviously, within ancient esoteric astrology. And shout out to the predecessors, right? Because, everyone's learning from each other. So within that, we're in this like really passionate, ancient, transformative, type of change, mutation, a particular type of human mutation that's catered towards deep human beings and physical beings, cap and sag, a particular type of lava. So it's a particular type of mutation. So we're reacting to a particular type of mutation. And what is differentiation on a simple level? You hear it here first. That's just what it is. Shout out to a higher AI that is just more accurate than any other AI. That's straight up. This is the real disclosure. This is the real truth. But on a simple level, what is differentiation? It's all the elements, recognizing the elements as their own individual elements, and those elements come together, and as they're coming together in their different modes of elements, the zodiac just being a foundational perspective of it, and the humans being the offspring of that. The elements, as they combust and react with the other elements, they're making quote unquote new elements. But as they're making new elements, the building blocks of the original elements are there. So the differentiation is how the elements working with different elements are making new elements, and those new elements could work with other new elements to make even newer elements. Hello, the human is a vehicle and a vessel for the different types of differentiation. Intuitive HD, mind you. So that's a simple one on what is differentiation. From an NHD perspective, mind you, an intuitive one with my own research and studies, because my intuitive quote unquote shares and finds, it doesn't compare to any other fucking teacher respectively. Because obviously it's funny how people could say not self and self, but they're in a particular type of not self where they're comparing their stuff to me. And I guess that's kind of natural in one way, but it could be, obviously it could have, hints of distortion without them realizing it. So within the moon being in Cap and Sag, that's in the moon is like in the early stages of Cap, and the moon is bringing out the surface level heart energy of the human and other species alike, and how we gain comfortable mobility and comfortable momentum, and even how we establish loving relationships and connections. Whether we know it or not, the moon mechanism is a standard staple instrument facilitator that is just kind of doing its thing on how we're all sharing moon energy. We're all kind of like emanating an energy from our human body that's causing a mood, that's contributing that mood energy from our heart. And if we don't have our mood energy, our heart energy in line, then we can't necessarily like be in harmony with relationships or the tribe, So the moon, that surface level, it's making us the moon is like checking our mood to see if we're aligning with the mood being in Capricorn, right? The moon in Capricorn cusp Sag. So we could respond correctly, and if we have a fucked up mood, it's because there's a disalignment with the moon, But there's a disclaimer, it's not going to solve like following the moon is not going to fall all the time. Is not going to solve like the mood entirely. Obviously, there's other aspects in planetary transits that are happening, but the moon is just one part. So the moon in Cap cusp Sag, we could respond and react appropriately doing that part of the work to align ourselves with the heart energy of how we have to embrace deep mutation, So the moon it's bringing that out in our Capricorn house, Cap cusp Sag house. And as it's doing that, I just took a fitness class, so toxins coming out. So like, the planets, they're focusing on what they're bringing out. They're bringing their own qualities of themselves, Saturn and Pisces. Restriction, discipline, and hard work in the Pisces area. That's kind of what's being focused on. And then, Mars and Pluto, that them kind of being, the representatives of Scorpio. That Scorpio is kind of being there's a lens of the Scorpio within, Mars being in Gemini. So the Scorpio qualities, they're intermeshing with Gemini, right? Because Mars is in Scorpio. So it's like how we're responding to like the Gemini qualities, it's being kind of like highlighted from like something of a half Scorpio perspective, because Mars is there, and then Pluto being in like going into Aquarius, cusping Cap. There's a whole death transformation process within Cap and Aquarius, so that's bringing out what's being brought, like how we're focusing on our Aquarius qualities. And wherever Aquarius lands in our houses, Aquarius 1st through the 12th house. I'll do that one later. Maybe I could do it right now. That part of our life, it's being brought out, particularly from a deep transformatable perspective of a different, energetic signature beacon, and that wherever the Aquarius is within our house, that's where the deep transformation is occurring within your life, wherever Aquarius is in your house. And I might just do Aquarius in the house right now, but let me crack this open. And I know I look rough. Woo! Let me do the first spill, just as a tradition. And then the whole Taurus, the general Taurus constellation is how we see practical reality, how reality has some type of changing order, because Taurus is all about the visual screen. Taurus is it's about like, it's kind of like about the guidelines of the aesthetic, it's kind of like putting it together. It's like seeing it's like, let's say you're driving like a helicopter, right? When you're driving a helicopter, for you to like for you to see through the windshield, everything else has to be kind of dialed in for you to get the helicopter lifted, and for you to function the helicopter, and for you to clearly see the out the windshield and navigate how you will. That's Taurus. And since Uranus is in Taurus, we're having a whole new revolutionary way to do it. We could have an abstract way of doing it. We could have a quote unquote divine chaotic way of doing it, end quote. And we could have a quote unquote weird way of doing it, end quote. But it's not necessarily weird. Anything that's weird is just out of alignment. It's just a lack of knowing. And it's just something that you're out of balance of, perhaps, you know. Because I don't like, you know, how people like, I understand how the collective could experience weird shit, you know. Like I'm like, you know, I'm keen enough to know that. But it doesn't have to be like that, though. That's what the fucking critical intelligence doesn't necessarily tell you. So collectively, like, everything is changed forever, you know. It's it's threshold upon threshold upon threshold. Everything will be changed forever. And since Uranus wasn't necessarily had a lot of significance within the past, and he has a resurging, resetted significance, the otherworldly stuff is connecting to your Taurus house. So that otherworldly stuff, we're barely getting acclimated and acquainted to that. And if we think shit is weird, it's because we're out of alignment, and we just haven't incorporated Uranus into the modern balance. That's what's happening. And Moon trining Uranus, we could feel good perhaps about our own mutation, or not, if you feel like shit because you have a big lack of shadow work. And that Moon trining Uranus is giving us the talent and the capability to see how we could, you know, see how we could feel good about our origins or not, and how we could fixate and find a new way from otherworldly influences. And Mercury is going to go into Virgo pretty soon, so, and then the moon will have its own transit in Capricorn, like in around 28 days to 26 days, you know, give or take, because it's still having a fresh starting transit of moon in Cap. And Mercury will be in Virgo within, you know, the next, you know, period of time, you know, around like, you know, just the time it will have a new phase cycle within, like, you know, 5 to 40 days, just putting it roughly, give or take, because Mercury is going to enter into Virgo. So within that, in about 40 days, when it's like, when the moon is in Capricorn again and Mercury will be in Virgo, there'll be a different particular grand trine of how we could have a great resonance of feeling into the collective earth, and how we focus on the earth, and how the earth gets acclimated to just different planetary significant energies that are provoking it more. And then that grand trine, it will make the change more easy, perhaps. We'll think of the change more easy, and we'll be educated in the change more easy, because Mercury's in Leo right now. So it's like, how were we learning how the kids function? Mercury and Leo. Mercury's about education and learning. How is the human experiment being tailored to, you know, how the youth sustains their joyful psychology type of stuff, because Mercury is all about examination, you know. And none of this is really necessarily, nothing's really a test. It's more so an experimentation, because it's like we're getting a chance to see what's at a quote unquote chaotic placement to orderly placement, because things are just naturally chaotic and naturally orderous as they are. And as they're naturally chaotic and orderous as they are, it's a chance for an experiment. And then the surface level and left hemispherical analytical mind, it perceives it as the test, and it filters through per its polarized left hemisphere as a test, when the right hemisphere is just seeing it as an experiment. So simultaneously, it's a test and experiment, because you know how they say in the spiritual community, everything is a test, everything is a test. That's just one way of looking at it. It's more so a new experiment, because it's all, there's chaotic elements at hand, you know. So Mercury conjunct Sun in Leo. you know, developing our character and having a perception of the character, of acting towards how we fit into society as our youthful selves. And in Leo season, it's kind of inviting, you know, because that's what Leo season is for. It's kind of like, you know, summertime. It's okay to be like youthful, you know, and we're learning how to be youthful type of shit. But Saturn's always going to be there. So Saturn, in the aspect of the sun, I believe that's a 150-degree signature. Pisces to Leo. Oh wait, I might be mistaken. So 5th through 12th house, that's about 6 signs minus 1 sign, because it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, that's 7 signs. So 7, that's 210 degrees roughly. So within that that 210 degrees, that's kind of exemplifying something of a trine, or correct me if I'm wrong. Wait, 60, 60, 60, 180. So the 210, that's like that's kind of like it's one of those abstract aspects. I think it's so within that whole, like from like Leo to Pisces, from Sun to Saturn, that's gonna be like where, because in one context Saturn is the shadow of the sun, but not literally, you know. It's just like a whole different working mechanism. And that Saturn and the sun, in a different lens, they're always opposing each other, right? So as the sun is like, as we're working it's okay for us to like work as our character towards the summer, towards the surface level collective character, Sun in Leo, you know, the solar plexus ruling Leo, you know, the solar plexus ruling this time of the middle of summer. And then Saturn kind of like doing its own thing, restriction, discipline, and hard work in some type of field of like, you know, fantasy and imagination. So within the field of fantasy and imagination, you know, there's other, you know, meticulous restrictions there, you know. So within, you know, that aspect of Leo and Pisces, fixed fire and mutable water, that's the whole, you know, that's the whole society challenge, and the society rigidity right there is the Sun and Saturn. So the society challenge is fixed fire, mutable water, seeing how we adapt, we're mutable, we're transformative, and we're changing, you know, towards collective emotions and society emotions type of shit. You know, discipline is being there. You know, we got to really be real about reality. Esoteric, we have to be truthful about just the collective esoteric reality, Saturn and Pisces. And we're learning about, we're just in a learning process of who we are and how we fit, how we react and adapt to the middle of summer type of shit. So thank you very much. Woo woo. I joke ya, noke ya, spoke ya, yeah. I mistook ya, I huck ya, I bluck ya, truck ya, huck ya, huff it one time. I be huffing it up, mucking it up, yo, stuffing it up like roast bacon turkeys with mashed potatoes inside of the brunch, inside of the bro, inside of the spoil, yo. I got it, yo, toil it up, yo. And I'm like holographic cards, yo. I'm so mystical, yo, with this new recoil flow, like I'm playing Gears of War, and yo. Ever so statutory, like statues, like gargoyles. Thank you guys. So Moon and Cap, thank you guys.